Happening now, the local mother killed during a Southside homicide in Jamestown last week has been identified. And an update on the Falconer house fire that claimed the life of a family pet. Plus, the city comes together replanting trees along a major thoroughfare to celebrate Arbor Day in our community.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up, but first, law enforcement officials in Jamestown have identified the mother killed in an apparent domestic violence homicide last week. Kayla Hodgkin was found unresponsive at a Southside Jamestown address last Thursday. Now, over the weekend, family and friends hosted a vigil for the 34-year-old mother. Jamestown police say Michael Burham is the prime suspect in their investigation. Specific details of the death remain sealed. Burham is also wanted in connection with a vehicle fire that took place just moments after Hodgkin was discovered deceased. A manhunt for Burham continues across state lines today after police in Warren County, Pennsylvania discovered his truck unoccupied.
We've also reached out to our law enforcement partners outside the state, and we've gotten some contribution from a number of different agencies here in Chautauqua County, outside the county. I think a special mention should go out to Rob Green, who's the district attorney in Warren County, who assisted us in getting a search warrant filed.
Burham is believed to be armed and dangerous. If spotted, police say call 911. Do not approach. Now, just this morning, a $2,500 reward for information leading to his arrest has been issued. A Jamestown resident is accused of assaulting an elderly person over the weekend. On Saturday night, Jamestown police officers responded to a residence on the city's east side for a disorderly person. Now, following an investigation, it's alleged that Carlos Ruiz threw a chair, a table, and other items at a 67-year-old victim while a child was in close proximity. Now, while attempting to arrest the 26-year-old suspect, officers report that Ruiz resisted. When a brief struggle ended, he was taken into custody. Ruiz is charged with second-degree assault, endangering the welfare of a child, and resisting arrest. An electrical failure is blamed for sparking a residential fire in Falconer that claimed the life of a family pet. On Saturday evening, the Falconer Fire Department was dispatched to 319 Central Avenue for a reported porch fire. Several other area fire crews also responded to aid Falconer first responders after the fire spread from the porch to the house attached. After flames were extinguished here, the Chautauqua County Fire Investigation Team was called to the scene to determine the fire's cause and origin. Now, following their investigation, officials report to us a multi-plug power strip located on the porch of that residence failed and it started the fire. Since then, the incident has been ruled accidental. Now, while all of the home's human occupants made it out without injury, we're told one family pet died as a result of the fire. Well, over 50 people turned out to help re-tree West 3rd Street on Saturday, honoring Jamestown's 42nd year designated as a Tree City USA. Our Bronson Rasmussen was on hand with shovel in hand.
It means a lot to be able to plant our own tree in front of our own home.
The community came together to plant 37 trees of 4 different species between Hall Avenue and Halleck Street as part of an annual Arbor Day celebration.
We plant trees, we trim trees, we remove trees. We have a fantastic tree program that was created beyond the 42 years we've been at Tree City USA.
West 3rd Street was well known for a slew of 80-foot-tall, 100-year-old oak trees lining the street. In early 2021, it was found the trees were diseased and had to be cut down.
It was disappointing, but then you say, well, it's just going to look more like a residential street, and so you just sort of have to come to grips with it. And I think a lot of people just had almost a kind of mourning.
And while these trees may seem small at the moment, they will continue to grow to match the similar aesthetic to the old Grand Cathedral oaks.
As soon as these roots start growing and taking off, we'll look at the oaks, the elms, the cherries, and the maples we planted up here, and hopefully have a real nice fall display of color with them this year.
The project was paid for with $500,000 of American Rescue Plan Act funding as part of the West 3rd Street redesign, sidewalk repaving, and additional candlestick lighting.
You know, we were all patient waiting to see what was going to happen, but we knew in the end it would be worth it. And I think once these trees take hold and start growing with all the lights and everything that are in, it'll be beautiful, beautiful entryway into the city.
Planting these over 30 trees marks Jamestown's 42nd year as being a tree city in the USA. Reporting in Jamestown, Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
Oh, what a great day for it too, Bronson. Thank you very much for that. Let's switch gears and talk about what's important for a lot of planners out there. Our First Defense weather forecast, Chief Weather Forecaster Andrew Stevenson joins us, and it's really been a nice weekend, Andrew. However, I got the warning last night. Some frost folks had to deal with this morning.
And warm by the day, chilly by night. Yeah. Start off with a live look over Chautauqua Lake right now. Plenty of blue skies out there. It looks like off in the distance you might have some kind of fire going on. If you look over here, it looks like there's some smoke in the air. But otherwise, other than that, blue skies out there over Chautauqua Lake. First Defense Doppler radar, I assure you, First Defense Doppler radar is running. There's just nothing happening. There's no rain, there's no cloud to report of, and that's your forecast pretty much for the rest of the day. The almanac for today, we made it to a high of 60 degrees yesterday. Our low was 47. Our records for today, 89 was the record high, set back in 1988, and a record low of 29 set back in 1980. So here's your forecast for the afternoon out there. Mostly sunny skies, plenty of sunshine, blue skies. If the skies do look a little milky this afternoon, it's because we have some wildfire smoke from Canada that will be drifting across the area. Other than that, blue skies with highs today ranging from the lower 60s near the immediate Lake Erie shoreline to the lower 70s inland with a west wind of 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, looking forward to it. Thank you very much. As WNY News Now continues, Western New York marks 1 year since the Buffalo Tops mass shooting. We have a report from the Queen City. And later, a legislative package in New York intends to further protections for the rights of domestic and sexual violence survivors. Our state capitol correspondent explains after this.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker Tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
Eagleszip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, Eagleszip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call Eagleszip.com today.
Stop by Eagleszip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on Channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
Hunting on private land has been quite the experience.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
This weekend was the 1-year anniversary of the Buffalo mass shooting, where a gunman opened fire at a Tops supermarket, killing 10 people and injuring 3 others. Erie News Now's Philip Ward spent the last couple of days in Buffalo and has more on the somber anniversary.
No 62-year-old, woman with bad knees, bad back is about to outrun a bullet.
Mark Talley remembers calling his mother, Geraldine,
364 days ago.
No answer, called her boyfriend, no answer. So that's kind of, it's especially weird when I call my mom and she doesn't answer. She would usually call me right back and didn't.
Tally did receive a call, but it was from a police officer on the scene with tragic news.
Basically just said, sorry to inform you, but your mother's body has been identified as being in the grocery store.
Mayor of Buffalo Byron Brown called the shooting the worst nightmare that can happen to a community.
It was a painful day.
Brown recalls leaving a baseball game and arriving at the Tops parking lot.
There were 3 bodies laid out on the ground covered by sheets, and I could see the bottom of one of the sheets getting red with blood. It was pretty traumatic.
How do you then approach the family members, and what do you possibly say to them at a time like that?
Well, you approach them with love and support. You hurt with them, you hurt for them, you're hurting yourself.
So I wanted people in the whole world to instantly know the reference that I'm making.
Tally has now written a book, and through that process, it has helped his hurting.
I just want this book to serve as an outlook of what the effects of systemic racism and gun violence has on a population of people.
What would you say to your mother if she was here right now with us?
I'm sorry for wearing sweatpants on the news.
Grady Lewis had a conversation with the top shooter and immediately had a bad feeling.
Because I knew he didn't belong here. I didn't have any idea, of course, but I knew that I needed to do something.
Since that day, Lewis has been dreading the 1-year anniversary.
I was depressed in March, knowing that this day was coming up, and at this point, I've been totally broken to where now I just accept.
He wasn't the only one who spoke with the shooter. Jay McKnight did as well, and he tries his best to not relive that day.
I haven't really gotten over it. I just more like just brush it to the side because it's something I can't think about every day. I still gotta live my life the way I gotta live my life.
This is sad. This is sad for me. So just a year going by, it feels like it's been 2 weeks ago for me. So this is just horrible, and I just want people to study and read and learn themselves so they don't have to accept things.
Philip Ward, Erie News Now.
On Tuesday, there will be 2 special elections for Pennsylvania's House vacancies. However, one of them is attracting a lot of attention and a lot of money. Democrat Heather Boyd and Republican Katie Ford will face off on primary election day for the 163rd House District seat in the special election for Delaware County. Democratic officials officially won that seat in the majority in the House after 3 special elections this February. And now, just 3 months later, they're fighting to keep the majority. Pennsylvania Democrats have contributed nearly $1 million for Boyd's campaign, which shows just how important this race is.
That's an extraordinary amount of money, and it just tells us, like, hey, the state house is at stake.
Now, an additional special election will be held Tuesday to fill the vacancy in the 108th House District. The former state representative who held that seat in the Montour County area was elected to the state Senate earlier this year. That seat has been held by Republicans for decades and is expected to stay red. Well, we have continuing coverage on a legislative package intending to further protect the rights of domestic and sexual violence survivors. Our New York State Capitol correspondent Elise Klein is breaking down a bill to increase access for survivors to obtain orders of protection and housing.
Some survivors of domestic and sexual violence face barriers when trying to find housing or use an order of protection as evidence in court.
The lack of having someplace else to live could result in a victim staying in an abusive situation.
This week in the Senate, lawmakers passed 2 bills that intend to address these barriers. One bill establishes a uniform waiting list for domestic violence survivors applying for public housing.
If you've been a victim of domestic violence, if you have had troubles, like that should be one of the least of your concerns, to be able to have stable and safe housing.
Another bill would enable prosecutors to access sealed prior orders of protection. Senator Natalia Fernandez, the bill's sponsor, says this legislation would help victims build a case against their abuser.
What this will do is to prove what they are saying is happening and to get them the justice that they deserve and the safety that they need.
Gerhardt says it's important for these cases to be able to show a pattern of abuse.
In order for prosecutors to charge abusers who are repeat offenders of orders of protection with criminal contempt, they have to have access to prior orders of protection.
Both bills will have to be passed in the Assembly and signed by the governor before becoming law. In Albany, Elise Klein, WNY News Now.
After months of hard work and preparations, Waldameer opened for their 2023 season. Families enjoyed all the rides and entertainment on Saturday as the gates opened at noon. Families jumped on the merry-go-round, the scrambler, bumper cars, and ravine flyer for an afternoon of fun. They also could enjoy a lot of classic food and games. Teens and their friends also enjoyed the sunshine at the park and said they missed being at this Erie, Pennsylvania icon while it was closed for the season.
I've been waiting like all school year to come back. It was pretty boring not being at Waldameer for a long time.
The water park is set to open in a few weeks, officially on Memorial Day weekend. Certainly always a lot of fun. Well, coming up next on WNY News Now, but the same concerns continue over the debt ceiling drama. We have the latest from Washington, D.C. And later, we're highlighting a unique partnership between a local children's organization and financial institution. But first, when we come back, Andrew has a full look at our First Defense weather forecast.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Have you ever wanted to live out your dreams? Hunt, fish, in all corners of the earth? Well, now's your chance. Follow Primitive Patriot Outdoors as we live out our dreams and show you how to live out yours through outdoor adventures. From Western New York to Africa to all corners of the earth, follow us on this adventure. It's an experience you've never seen before. Lead and Lures, Roku TV, Channel 716.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker Tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
Fast, accurate, and every day. First Defense Weather.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Currently in downtown Jamestown, we're under mostly sunny skies. 58 degrees is the current temperature, and winds are calm out there as of the noon hour. While we have a special weather statement, this mainly concerns the Niagara frontier, but this will also probably be dealing with the southern tier tomorrow for an elevated fire risk. With dry air over place, high pressure, humidity levels between 20 and 30%, and wind gusts later on today and tomorrow between 20 and 25 miles per hour. There is a higher risk for fire risk. That means if you're going to be using any ignition sources such as cigars or matches or doing anything fire related, just be cautious out there, because with the dry weather and the wind gust out there, fire can spread much more quickly than it is if we had more rain and more moisture in the air. Speaking of rain, the rain chances over the next few days are pretty low, as it was last week. Tomorrow, rain chance about 20%. That's mainly going to be overnight tomorrow night as a cold front drops through the area, but even then it's 20%. Back down to 0% for Wednesday and Thursday, and then headed into Friday again, only a 20% chance of rain, and again, that will be mainly overnight Friday. So not much rain is in the forecast. That's because high pressure is across the region. It is keeping us dry, keeping all of western New York and pretty much the Great Lakes dry. We do have that cold front that's up to the north that's going to drop through tomorrow night, but only have limited rain with it. So let's time it out on Future Scan. Future Scan will be running, but nothing will be happening. Mostly sunny skies for the rest of the afternoon today, and then we'll go mainly clear skies through the night tonight. Tomorrow, as we head into tomorrow, there will be a few more clouds that contend with tomorrow, but overall tomorrow should be a dry day with partly cloudy skies, and then again that cold front drops through tomorrow night. Only a couple isolated showers, not really expecting anything widespread, and then high pressure builds back in by the time Wednesday, and Wednesday and Thursday will be mainly dry, as you'll see it here in the extended forecast powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. Temperatures today, tomorrow upper 60s to lower 70s, and then that cold front moves through. We drop down in the lower 50s for Wednesday. Some areas on Wednesday might not make it out up the upper 40s, but we do rebound Thursday back into the lower 60s. Friday will go lower 70s, and then heading into the weekend, temperatures in upper 60s with again limited chances for a few rain showers. So Mother Nature is going to continue to provide dry weather, looks like, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, looking like a great forecast, Andrew. Thank you very much. Well, let's get some headlines now from around the nation. It's the start of a new week, and the debt ceiling drama, it's still hovering over Washington, D.C. President Joe Biden and top congressional leaders, including House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, are expected to meet again this week to discuss the matter. Kevin McCarthy and House Republicans say they will raise the debt limit $1.5 trillion if cuts are made to the budget. According to Mooney Analytics, a prolonged debt limit breach could cut thousands of jobs nationwide, and some economic analysts are warning that a recession is likely to come sometime during the second half of the year. Now, the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen recently warned that the U.S. could default on its obligations as soon as June 1st if Congress doesn't find a solution. Well, the pandemic-era immigration policy, Title 42, it's ended, and it's allowed federal agents to quickly turn away some migrants. Right before Title 42 expired, House Republicans passed a sweeping immigration bill. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp has more.
Securing the border is one of the top priorities.
On a 219 to 213 vote, the House passed the Secure the Border Act. It's a sweeping immigration bill aimed to build more of the border wall at our southern border and impose new restrictions on asylum seekers.
This bill secures the border from President Biden's record crossings, record carelessness, and record chaos.
This legislation passed just hours before Title 42, the pandemic-era immigration policy, expired. It allowed federal agents to quickly turn away some migrants. House Democrats call this bill a waste of taxpayer money on a border wall and will further introduce chaos into our immigration and asylum system. Following the vote, a couple of House Republicans who voted for the legislation released their own statements. Rep. Nick Langworthy says in part, Title 42 was one of the only tools we had to turn migrants away, and its repeal is going to have devastating consequences on upstate communities.
The White House has 2 years to plan for the end of Title 42. We all knew the deadline, but the White House produced no plan, missed the deadline, and bumbled into another crisis.
But the Secretary of Homeland Security says otherwise.
We prepared for this moment for almost 2 years.
The Secretary says after Title 42 expires, those who try to cross into our country illegally will suffer more severe consequences.
Is subject to at least a 5-year ban on re-entry into the United States and can face criminal prosecution if they attempt to cross again.
In Washington, D.C., Rachel Knapp reporting.
A panel of outside advisors to the Food and Drug Administration voted to grant accelerated approval to an experimental gene therapy. SRP 9001 treats Duchenne muscular dystrophy in a single dose. The problem is it hasn't been clinically proven and the FDA has safety concerns. But parents of children who have received it got the votes they needed. During a tense meeting lasting 9 hours, parents told stories about the therapy keeping their kids walking longer if they hadn't received it. Right now, kids with the disease generally lose the ability to walk by their teens and don't live past 30 years old. The advisors ultimately voted 8-6 to put the drug on the path to go to market without robust clinical evidence. Well, coming up next, how a local financial institution is helping kids right here in Jamestown.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on Channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Caitlin Armstrong.
Has been quite the experience.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker Tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year. Making financial responsible decisions, it's critical to maintaining a stable life, but unfortunately, many struggle when it comes to balancing the books. Well, now Collaborative Children's Solutions, they're joining forces with the Southern Chautauqua Federal Credit Union to expand their resources. And as our Alyssa Wright explains, they're reaching young minds and trying to instill responsibility. Alyssa, that sounds easier said than done.
Absolutely, Justin. The two have been collaborating for years now, but early this month, the Southern Chautauqua Federal Credit Union officially became a signature sponsor of CCS, and they are both looking forward to their future together.
It's a good partnership, and that's my goal, is just to continue to offer that opportunity through John and his incredible folks. They have come on board. They've been with us for a couple years now, since our launch, and now they have come on board to be a signature sponsor and be involved in every project, not just the events, but every project we do with Collaborative Children's Solutions.
The pair explained that as luck would have it, they crossed paths.
Patrick and I met, it was kind of just by chance. We are interested in doing the Christmas parade several years ago. I called the city, and the city said, we'll have someone get back to you. And eventually Patrick was the person that got back to us. So we started talking about different things that we can do for the community, how we can support the community. And one thing led to another, to another, to another. And now I am honored to be able to be a major sponsor for Patrick. He's making really good things happen in this county.
The duo are seemingly elated to have the opportunity to collaborate to better the community.
It means everything. I mean, not only has John become a friend, but we've been a partner, and we toss things off of each other all the time, usually at 6 a.m. texts or whatever when we're both up. But he gets it. I think he understands children, which is really important to us, and he offers kids opportunities. He's been doing it way before we got involved with each other. I mean, he's always in front of a school.
I have been at this credit union for over 35 years, and probably 5 years into my career, I decided that I felt that I could make a difference in Chautauqua County. I felt that I could be a piece of the pie to help eradicate poverty. And again, Patrick came into my life, and I am just thrilled because I really believe good things are going to happen with our partnership.
Well, now the two are currently working on polishing pre-existing projects and brainstorming what's next for the community. To track their progress and be notified of any upcoming events, you can follow Collaborative Children's Solution on Facebook.
Yeah, it's such a great story to share. Alyssa, thank you very much for that. And when you look at helping the community, why not helping our children, our youth, right? They're the next generation. So certainly an investment and, you know, tackling that financial investment and responsibility. Sometimes that's easier said than
That's a tough one.
And that's going to do it for us today. We'll leave you with this live look over Cattaraugus County and Wheaton Park in Randolph. The news continues 24/7 at WNY News Now.